calling Tara Das with Vital Statistics State Registrar.
Defense Office is Adam. How may I help you?
Yes, I was trying to reach Tara Das.
She's presently on the call. May I take a message?
Well, you might be able to help me. I guess you're in her office, is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, I'm trying to obtain the source document for the birth certificates for 3 of the different individuals that need to be added to my UCC1 statement through the family trust, and I'm not having any luck.
Okay, so you're trying to request the birth record, or?
No. The original contract that was signed, which created that other certificate. See, that certificate had to be created by a signature, and that's called the source document, and that's what needs to go into my UCC1 filing statement and to the Secretary of State and the IRS and the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department through my trust, or through my, not my trust, but the trust that I'm administering. And without that document, it screws everything up. And whenever I called the regular number through the main line, I just get hung up on, and I really don't know what's going on with this.
Well, I'm trying to understand what specifically you're trying to request. Birth records are filed directly with the state by the birth certifier, so I'm trying to understand what sort of document you're requesting, because there would be...
Well, it's not a matter of it being a document that I'm requesting. I'm not asking or making a request. I'm stating that this is a contract that is mine, and I require a copy of it. I'm not being ugly towards you. I'm trying to be clear about what's happening here. This is international law. This is the Uniform Commercial Code that is, without borders. And for someone to tell me that I'm not allowed to have, because actually that's fine, because then what it does, if I wanted it to, is it basically just destroys your entire little party over there with that trust, where everybody's having too much fun against my name and against the name of my children. And without, if y'all are going to refuse the original source document to a trust that's got a lot of money in it, that I am the only authorized agent to, then I have to obviously get your name and find out who you are, so that as I can, if I'm going to have to, start suing people over this, Title 42 or whatever, that's what I'll do. But there's no way in the world y'all are actually going to forbid me from having this document. I know for a fact what it is, and I know that you must give it to me. I know that you're not wanting to give it to me, but when I request it, you must.
Well, it's not a matter of refusal, sir. I'm trying to understand what it is you're requesting. It sounds like you're requesting some form of contract, but that is not a record that our offices retain. We would only have birth certificates.
Well, you cannot have that birth certificate without a source document which creates the birth certificate. That's what I'm talking about.
The source documents, as I understand you're asking for, would be hospital records, also known as a birth fax sheet, which is utilized by the hospital for the purposes of registering a birth with the state for the creation of a birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the only other document that I can think of that could be considered a source document for a birth certificate. It would be medical records from the hospital that they utilize for registering a birth with the state of Texas. And that, in turn, that registration of the birth is a birth certificate.
Okay, so you're telling me that I got to go to the hospital and ask for that document?
Well, again, you're requesting medical records. It would be, for example, a birth fax sheet or something to that effect.
No, it's not a medical record. It doesn't have anything to do with medicine. This has nothing to do with medicine. Whenever, for example, whenever I was born and I was too young to speak for myself, somebody entered the room at a time that was, you know, really inconvenient for everybody else to make a presentment, you know, to make an offer, a presentation. That's like a salesperson. That doesn't have anything to do with medical records. This has to do with contract law. And so they came in there and they tricked my dad, who wasn't thinking straight, into thinking that if he registered his child's birth, that would mean he's saying, hey, my child was born today. Not understanding that there's some slippery son of a gun. What that really means is birth is like a stillborn dead kid. So it means my kid came out dead today. And then they turn around. You know what this is all about, right? I mean, come on.
No, sir, I'm not.
Why would they, even on the more modern ones, I went and looked at mine for my sons. Why would they be asking questions about my dead babies?
There is a completely separate document in the case of birth resulting in stillbirth, but that is something else entirely. Again, it's recording of health information for the use of public policy.
Well, I understand what y'all tell everybody, and you may not know the difference, and if so, that's fine. But I actually do know very specifically exactly how this all works. The fact that, you know, what's happened is fine. But at this stage, I'm stepping forward, and I'm saying this needs to come to a stop, and the way I'm doing that is I'm requiring these documents, because if I can't obtain them, and as a matter of fact, they do need to come through your office. I already know this. If y'all aren't going to give them to me, then I get to go in on my UCC1 and nullify the whole damn birth certificate entirely, and then you guys are screwed.
Again.
Yeah, like in hosed, because you've defaulted on the contract. You've not provided any of the documentation that is required to even prove that birth certificate is a legitimate document. If you can't back it up, then you can tear it up and throw it in the trash.
I don't believe that is accurate information with regards to birth records, sir.
That is accurate information with regards to all contract law everywhere in the world.
Again, this is not, we do not handle in contracts.
This is absolutely uniform commercial code. That birth certificate is a securitized document, and you know that. That is a bond. It's on bond paper, is it not? Is it not on bond paper?
It is on a controlled security paper.
That's right, the controlled security paper that's traded all over the world, even right now today, correct?
Well, it's...
yes, it is. You know this. So, I mean, you don't have to treat me like I'm stupid, please.
Fraud, again.
No, it's for the purposes of selling it. It's on the market. I can look it up on the internet right now.
Then that would be an issue with the police for potential identity theft, I would imagine, sir.
Well, of course it's identity theft, but I'm not going to call the devil to ask him to help me protect me from the devil. So what I do is I obey the law, and I require that other people do too. In this instance, obeying the law is simple. Obviously, just how everybody, you know, I'm sure you have a record of it on your side there or whatever, but the law states that in contracts, when someone comes to demand that you provide evidence that you even have a contract and you're not able to do so, then you're in trouble, because whenever I do this officially and you guys don't rebut it, then what I say stands as law, and then your entire birth certificate is worth zero instantly. All I'm doing is, I'm not even trying to make it worth zero. I'll let y'all keep raping it until everybody's dead. I don't care. What I am going to do, though, is securitize it under my UCC1 and make sure that thugs aren't using that like their own little freaking cookie jar.
Again, sir, I'm not entirely sure what it is you're looking for, because... Again,
I'm looking for the document that my father signed when I was born that states that on such and such date he acknowledges the birth of his son. You know that document? And I did two of them too, because I've got two boys, and I would have signed a document just like how y'all had their mother sign a document in her maiden name so the child would be born, quote, fatherless. You know, I don't know how you can pretend as though you're ignorant of these things.
Well, the document that a father would sign at the time of birth would be, for example, an acknowledgement of paternity. You can request.
No, that's not what you're talking about. I'm talking, you know good and well what I'm talking about. It's the one document that is the source document. It's the document that is used for the very creation of the birth certificate. It's a document that mom and dad sign, or that dad signs there that whenever the child's born, that then they take and immediately go and post it out there for a couple days, make sure nobody claims it, since the parents don't know any better and it goes unclaimed. The kind state comes in from that day forward and picks up and cares for that minor account. Even whenever they're 50 years old, it's still a minor account that is being abused and used by criminals all over the world. Primarily right now, I've got a criminal over here on the other side of town that's sitting on the 366th district bench of the state of Texas, who's an absolute criminal. I mean, he's just a stone criminal. He doesn't even have authority to sit on the bench. He's got no oath. He's got no office. He's just a damn foreign agent that's not registered to even operate here, over here with no bond or insurance. He ain't even sending any money back to the Queen. They're just robber barons over here and going nuts on our accounts as though they were like a daggum party or something.
Okay, again, sir, all we would be able to assist you with is issuance of a birth certificate.
How are you going to issue that? What's that based on?
Sorry?
How do you issue a birth certificate?
Well, again, the hospital or birthing center would register the birth with the state of Texas based on medical documentation, as they're the birthing center or hospital presiding over the birth. They would register that information.
I need the birth fact document, sir.
Again, that would be medical document used by the hospital.
Okay. Okay, that's what I need then. So you don't have it? Even though you guys have the birth certificates?
You would have the birth certificate, which is the official document with the state of Texas based off of the birth facts information.
Okay, well,
where's the birth facts?
But that's the thing, is it's my understanding that birth facts information is in your custody, and as a matter of fact, I don't think it could be arbitrarily lost in some county hospital when it is the very document required for you to print. You can't print a new certificate on bond paper without a source document in your own possession. I can't just go printing out bonds with nothing to base it on.
Again, this is not a bond. It is printed on security paper for the purposes of fraud prevention.
Well, yeah, I understand that they say that that's what the purposes of security paper is fraud prevention, but the paper itself is a financial security. Have you ever heard of the Security and Exchange Commission, sir? Do you know what a security is?
General overview, yes. I'm not a financial expert by any means.
I'm not talking about being a financial expert. I'm talking about like 9th, 10th grade education and financial shit. Do you know what surety is? Are you familiar with what surety is?
Surety?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with that term now, sir.
Okay. It's all over the New Testament. That's why I'm just curious, because that's what this is about. This is about everybody, criminals, using spirit beings as their own private surety, where they take custody of them and make out bonds on them while they finger fuck their account. I mean, it's obscene, quite frankly.
Okay, so again, I'm not sure what it is you're trying to obtain.
I'm trying to obtain this document, and I know for a fact that you cannot give me a birth certificate unless you are in possession of the source document which creates it. So I feel like I'm being run up a rabbit's trail, and I don't really appreciate it.
I understand your frustration, sir, but again, I've explained to you what our officers are able to issue out in terms of birth records. Beyond that, I'm not sure what it is you're looking for and how I can assist you in obtaining it.
Okay, so you're telling me that it's your knowledge that when anybody, not just myself, but anybody else in the history of you being in this office has ever needed the source document which created the birth certificate, that where they were able to find success in obtaining that was by contacting the hospital that the child was born in.
Again, I'm without fully understanding what you're describing, because I'm not entirely sure
it's what you described to me as the birth fact document.
Yes, a hospital record that is used internally for the purposes of registering a birth with the state of Texas.
But what I'm talking about is not used internally in a hospital, because it is a contract. It's got a signature on it that is priceless, that is worth a lot of money, and it created a document. I'm not talking about an internal hospital document, sir.
Again, beyond that, I'm not sure what it is you're looking for.
What's your name again, please?
My name is Adan.
Spell it, please.
A-D-A-N.
Okay, and what was, like, say the first letter of your last name, I guess?
M.
M. And you work directly in the office there with her?
I am with Vital Statistics, yes. I don't report directly to her, but I am with the Vital Statistics section.
Okay, well, I guess it's really not you that I need to talk to then. I apologize. I probably just need to talk to her, because ultimately it's her that would be responsible for screwing me over on this, not you, because shit flows downhill, right?
Again, I'm not entirely clear on everything that you're requesting, but
can you patch me through to her voicemail?
Well, she's presently on a line, but I do want to ensure that you get the necessary assistance. Let me try and get you over to our branch manager in charge of the issuance, and she may have additional information for you and may be able to assist you further.
Thank you.
One moment, sir. I'm going to get you over to a lady by the name of Kathy Martinez. Hold, please.
Mm-hmm. What's it?
Tornados, huracanes, inundaciones, incendios forestales. Estos y otros desastres ocurren con frecuencia en Texas y pueden llegar sin aviso. Cuando ocurre un desastre, lo primero que pensamos es: ¿dónde está mi familia? ¿Estarán todos bien? ¿A dónde iremos para estar a salvo? Un desastre puede llegar muy de repente y sus familiares podrían encontrarse en distintos lugares cuando así suceda. Cuando nos ayudan.
Hello, this is Kathy Martinez with Vital Statistics.
Hi, Kathy. My name is Brad Brusenhan.
Hello.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm calling on behalf of the Ward Family Trust today, and I'm trying to obtain some documentation. I'm having a lot of trouble. I was hoping maybe you could help me.
Okay, let me see if I can help you.
Okay, I'm trying to obtain the birth fact document that was used to create the birth certificate for myself and each of my two children.
Okay, so the birth fact document that would have been used to create your birth certificate would be the where you were born and the hospital where your children were born.
And see, I think that's where there's some confusion, and maybe I'm assuming it'll probably be on my part. You can maybe help me with this.
Okay.
But I understand the difference between an internal hospital record or a medical record at the hospital that's internal to the hospital. That's not at all what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about here is a contract. It's a contract in law, and it's a contract that is being used every single day in law, and I don't believe it's even possible for your department to issue a birth certificate without the source document, which is the creation document of the certificate. So maybe it's not called the birth fact document, maybe it's called something different, but I know that contract is needing to be modified, and if I don't have access to even view it, then I certainly don't have access to modify it or correct it. And And in addition to that, even if it wasn't for those facts, there's still numerous other things that I, as a responsible man, need to do with all of my documents, okay? And part of that is that they've got to go on my UCC-1. We're talking about a security bond here, okay? That's what that certificate is. That's where it belongs. It's a commercial financial instrument. And then, you know, I've got the Secretary of State, the IRS, Federal Reserve, the Treasury Department. There's a lot of people involved here, and I can't fathom why someone would try to give me a hard time about obtaining this very document that, without my being able to even view it, within 90 days I can just destroy the entire birth certificate, because it will nullify the contract. You have a void contract if you can't even offer up any evidence that you have a right to the contract.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, so let me kind of go through the process of how a birth certificate gets filed with our office. So the way that the process initiates is mom is due for delivery of a child. Mom presents at hospital or birthing facility.
Okay, stop. Full stop for a sec. Listen, this is why, and please, I do want to be very respectful with you, and please understand on my side that I got a lot of frustration, but none of it is pointed at you, okay?
Right. No.
Okay. Now, when you go look in the law dictionary, birth is what happens whenever a child is stillborn dead. So a birth registration is the registration of a stillborn dead kid. Now, if you're born, that's whenever a child is born living. And those are two very different things. So right off the bat, there's people playing games in the first place about letting me register my two very clearly living, healthy, bouncing baby boys as stillborn dead kids, much less that they would be fatherless and then unclaimed, left for the state to come and be so kind and generous to not bother to let anybody know that they're going to go ahead and care for that estate for me on my behalf and on behalf of my children until the day they die, if nobody steps forward and says anything. And so that's what I'm doing, is I'm step forward and saying, hey, this is my life, these are my contracts, we are a world of uniform commercial code. That's the law of this world. It controls everything. It's above everything in this world except for God's law. Okay, so on God's law side, you guys are trumped already. But on the UCC, if you don't turn over that source document, your birth certificate is trash. Do you want that? Or do you want to simply let me secure my own self?
Well, what we have to follow is the guidelines of the state that we live in, and the state that we live in does not exist. Go look it up. Look up state of Texas, okay? Look it up. See who owns that. It doesn't exist. It's a lie. It's a myth. Sure, I understand that.
Do you know that Deerfield Holding Company for Cash Cow in North Dallas is the owner of, all caps, state of Texas? Okay, so I'm not trying to play fraud here. I understand what's going on. I'm not an idiot, and all I'm doing is asking you to abide by commercial code, uniform across all seas in this world.
Well, sir, as an employee of the state of Texas, I have to abide by the rules that are given to me by the state. And
okay.
That's all. I'm simply.
Well, I'll be happy to sue the state of Texas. That's not a problem at all. I got a lot of things going on with them anyway, but. Ultimately, when I sue the state of Texas, I got to do it through you. You know that, right?
I'm just stating what we are required to do, how we are required to do it, and all that. I'm not saying anything about your beliefs or the laws that you follow. I'm not saying that.
My belief is, regardless of what anybody's rules are, what if you found out that when you were born, not to your parents knowing, I'm not saying that they were stupid, because I'd be saying that my parents were stupid and also that I'm stupid, okay? But what if it wasn't your parents? What if it was just some other crafty bastards that were coming in trying to trick them, and they stuck something up under your father and your mother, where your mother signed up under her maiden name so that you were born without a father, and your father signed over that you were dead, and then somebody went and, you know, process that out as a securitized bond on the open market, traded all over the world for financial institutions, listed on the stock exchange. I mean, it's right there on Fidelity's website. Anyone can look this stuff up. Everybody knows what's going on. You guys can't get away with this any longer. You know this, right?
Well, sir, your question to me was, where can you get a hold of the birth facts document?
Okay, let me rephrase that question. That's not my question. That question...
With you, sir.
No, I'm sorry. That was the wrong question. That wasn't the right question. That was the question that those words got put into my head by the other fellow, I believe. My question is specifically, where can I obtain the document, the contract that was signed by myself when each of my children were born, and the one that was signed by my father when I was born?
That would be the hospital or the birthing facility where you were born.
Okay. Now, if I wanted to have another birth certificate sent to me right now, I could pay $22 and order one. Under what authority do you have to send one if you don't have the source of the contract?
The source, the hospital or birthing facility, is part of a partnership with us that creates those documents.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so you do have access to this document because they're part of a partnership with you guys.
Well, we don't have access to the document because we don't data enter the document. The document is data entered at the place, the source, wherever the information is being entered.
Did y'all recently change y'all's policy on how y'all handled this?
No.
Why is it that other people are telling me that after beating the dog for so many weeks, they finally got you guys to break down and admit that y'all had it, and that you, the company that sent them the source document, is that created their birth certificate?
When I'm not sure where that came from, but I can tell you that when somebody goes, just like I was saying, if a person goes to have a child in a hospital, there is documents.
Persons cannot have child. Persons are corporations. Corporations do not live.
Okay, well, I'm not going to argue about that. I'm just telling you.
No, I'm saying a man or a woman goes to have a baby born in a hospital, right?
And they have to fill out some forms.
Okay.
Those are the forms that are used when that clerk or whoever was at the hospital that keys in your birth information. That is where the document is created.
Okay, and we're...
It's merely archived and stored here. We do not have the documents that were presented at the time. We couldn't be everywhere.
Okay, so you just answered my simple question. That document is archived and stored with you, so please print me a copy, for crying out loud.
You can do you have an application? Would you like for me to send you an application?
Very much so.
Okay. And would you like for me to email you the link for you to download it?
Sure.
Okay, and give me your email address.
It's no Stramaneus Homo. That's NOSTRAMINEUS Homo HOMO at gmail.com. That means I'm not a straw man.
Got it. Okay, I will email you the link so that you get the exact link so you can download the application to complete and send it to us.
Okay, and so I had to make sure I got all my questions answered here. Oh, okay. Can you tell me your name again? I thought I had it written down here. Oh, Kathy, is that correct?
Yeah, Kathy Martinez.
And you're the branch manager?
Branch manager for amendments and issuance.
Okay, hang on. Hey, just real quick, as the manager of an amendments, do y'all ever do you normally attach your amendments to the contracts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had an amendment of a contract?
An amendment to a contract?
Of a contract.
As far as a birth rate, what type of?
No, I'm just saying. Thank you very much. You've answered my questions here. As far as I know, I don't know until I go see what it is that I'll find here, if it's going to lead to where I'm looking for or not. I was just curious is being a branch manager for amendments and issuance with regards to amendments in and of themselves. I mean, this is, you know, this is generally law kind of stuff, and words mean things. It's been my experience that amendments, you have amendments to contracts. And I was asking if you've ever heard of an amendment of a contract.
An amendment of a contract?
Correct.
Yeah. We amend a contract. You can amend a contract. You can amend to a contract.
Sure, but you don't. There's no such thing as amending of a contract, is there?
Amendment of a contract. Well, no, you'd amend to.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. That's crazy because, you know, our founding fathers at the beginning met to make amendments to the Constitution, but instead of that, when it was all said and done, all they did is make amendments of the Constitution, and only part of them showed up. I think that's crazy, right?
I agree.
All right, I'll let you go. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.